Hello, everybody from way downtown. This is the CTS Sports Podcast, and my phone is going off for some weird reason. But I'm Caleb Bushy, and welcome here to our very first episode. Very historic moment here. And before we get started, I got a little problem here. I can't do this alone, but don't worry here because we've got two great sports broadcasters and also just good friends off camera. And I'm going to introduce them one by one. First, he is, I've been my best friend for years. Literally, we just celebrated his birthday earlier this week, but he is also from the Bay Area, is the president of the Jimmy G Feels Great Baby Fan Club, even though Jimmy G is QB2. It is none other than Mr. Miller Time himself, Franklin Miller.
Yes, I'm happy to get started on this podcast. And even though I love my man Jimmy, I am really looking forward to Trey Lance this season, and hopefully he does well. So can't say enough good things about my team this upcoming year, but can't wait to get started with this podcast.
Me too, man. And we'll see what Lance is capable of this season. It might be a huge make or break season for the Niners, so we'll see. And none other second, this guy is from the Lone Star State. What I thought was a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, but literally in the first episode, we're already seeing historic double cross here. It is now switching over to the Bears as his number one team, which, I'm actually kind of fine with him rooting for the Bears over America's team because everybody hates the Cowboys. It is none other than the Sam Golden Valenti.
Yes, bear down, baby. Bear down. I know Franklin does not approve right now of what I'm wearing, but I got to ride with my Chicago Bears, and I'm ready to get started here on the CTS Sports Podcast. This is going to be lit.
Yes, indeed, it's going to be lit. I can't wait. Well, we're starting this podcast literally right at the start of football season. College football just kicked off this past week, and NFL season kicks off tonight with the first Thursday Night Football matchup between the Rams and Bills. We'll get to that later, but first, Week 1 of college football was highlighted. The biggest game, I think, in my opinion, the Florida State LSU game at the Caesars Superdome, the home of the Saints, and it just didn't disappoint. It was played on a Sunday afternoon and featured a lot of great former Sun Devils. Mike Norvell, who once upon a time used to be a coordinator under Coach Todd Graham, the former ASU coach before Herm Edwards, is now the head coach of the Seminoles, and of course, the big story, Jaden Daniels, who shockingly made the announcement during the past offseason that he was going to enter the transfer portal to join the LSU Tigers and made his debut in a Tiger uniform this past Sunday. And what a game that was. And it all came down the final play. Ward for Florida State fumbled at the LSU 1 with 1:20 to go. Then Tigers quarterback Jaden Daniels drove LSU for a touchdown on a 2-yard pass to Dre Jenkins with no time left. And then all of a sudden, the PAT, which seems to be, it shouldn't really be a debate. It's obviously that ball's going to go in. That was not the case. It ended up being blocked, and LSU's offensive line has a lot of work to do, and we're primarily the big blame for why they lost, and Florida State won it in a huge, shocking ending on the final play of the game. This was very shocking, especially, this is the first game under the Brian Kelly era for the LSU Tigers and Jaden Daniels. What are your guys' thoughts about this?
Well, one word for me, it just comes to discipline. And that's something the special teams for LSU did not have all game long. The last just 5 minutes alone was just absolutely crazy. That was kind of one of the craziest endings I've ever seen in a college football season, let alone a season opener in college football. I mean, from the kick being blocked to a couple kicks being blocked throughout the game, to then not only that, but one of the biggest things that wasn't talked about enough is LSU should not have been in a position to have a 99-yard drive to begin with because their punt returner muffed the punt to get Florida State at the goal line with 2 minutes to go in the game. But then Florida State ended up fumbling the football to give it back to them. So it was one of the most craziest undisciplined scenarios of all time I've seen. But yeah, LSU has a lot of work to do when it comes to their special teams unit, especially on the line of scrimmage, because there's a lot of people on block just getting through there. really, really bad. It reminded me a little bit of, don't mean to brag about the Niners and Packers game from a year ago and in the frozen tundra, but that's neither here nor there. But you know what I'm saying? It's just it was a crazy, crazy, crazy uphill battle. But I am happy for my man Jade Daniels to go 99 yards in literally less than 2 minutes to pull off a game winner like that. I wish he did that at Arizona State. I ain't gonna front. I wish that happened, but he got robbed of a heroic save. But yeah, like you said, Caleb, back to the drawing board for LSU because special teams has a lot of work to do because they really cost them the game. And that's not to mention also with the roughing the passer that LSU had in the first half of the game on the quarterback. Just a very undisciplined kind of start to the season for LSU, in my opinion. But it's a long season, but that's really going to hurt. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think those are definitely some areas that LSU will definitely need to improve on as the season goes along, and those are things that you really want to just have consistent and good at the start of the season. So that's something the Tigers are definitely going to have to work on. I have to talk a bit about what Jaden did here. I'm biased. I wish he had been he had done just more heroic things at Sun Devil Stadium. And he did, sometimes, but I think, last season he had a down year, and of course, and I just want to make a note of this. I saw a lot of Sun Devil fans who were almost wishing for Jaden to fail. And I understand that yeah, Daniels did transfer late, but you know what? ASU has a quarterback. We now have Emory Jones. I think that's fine. And Jaden, I wish him all the best. And it looks like, while he didn't get the result that he wanted, I think he had such a great game. I mean, look what he did here. He throws for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns, rushes for 114 yards. He became just the second LSU quarterback to have 200 passing yards and 100 rushing yards in the game. The other quarterback was some guy named Joe Burrow, so that's pretty impressive what Jaden Daniels did here. So, so far, at least through this first game, it looks like, possibly he made a good decision for himself. And I don't think that Sun Devil fans should be just so mad at him, for that. Because I think ASU has their quarterback, LSU has their quarterback, and I think that should just be it. But, what I saw from Jaden here, he was a bit shaky early on, I think. And I think, he was making some inaccurate throws, and I think a lot of ASU fans are like, oh, well, we saw this last year. But you know what Jaden did? He put his team in a position to go into overtime. He led a heroic drive at the end. And unfortunately, it doesn't end up working out in the end. But I was really impressed overall with how Jaden Daniels did in his LSU debut.
Yeah, that's another thing you mentioned. Like a lot of ASU fans on social media were kind of unnecessarily cruel to Jaden Daniels, mainly because I think they're holding grudges for him transferring late, which in some ways I can understand on both sides of the argument because there was always around that time during the offseason, there was question if Daniels would get the starting position. And he made the announcement himself on social media that he was going to be the starting quarterback. And then literally a week or two later, he ends up going into the transfer portal and everything kind of gets derailed. But there was also a lot of other Sun Devil fans that were actually kind of glad Jaden left because they seemed more confident in Emory Jones' performance, especially. And that's another thing we got to talk about with ASU's first game against NAU. They absolutely blew them out. And so far, so good under the Jones era. And for Herm Edwards, of course, who is on the red hot spotlight, as Urban Meyer has pointed out. He is looking at ASU and Nebraska very closely, as both of those head coaches, if they don't perform this season well, those head coaches could get released. But looking back at ASU's opening game this past Thursday, 1 week ago from tonight, and what are your guys' thoughts? There's not really much to judge off of this because it is a Big Sky team, but overall it has been overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, no, I think ASU did exactly what they were supposed to do and needed to do. Just come out the gates with a statement, even if it was against like a lower lower competition type team and NAU. They did exactly what they needed to do. I thought Emory Jones played an efficient game, had a couple rushing touchdowns, threw the ball really well, played within the offense. I thought it was a really good statement game to say that we're not messing around, at least when it comes to like the games we're supposed to win this year. I really am curious to know their upcoming games moving forward, especially the one against Oklahoma State. That's going to be a really big test for them, but that's for another time. But in terms of like this past game, I thought Emory Jones played very efficient. I think it really helped that he came from an SEC school, so he got a chance to see a bunch of defenses and defensive players that were pretty much already NFL ready, like Georgia and Alabama and South Carolina and all those guys. So for him to get a test of that before going into the Pac-12 is really it's good on our part that we have a quarterback like that has seen a bunch of different looks like that. So when it comes to the competition that we have in Pac-12, nothing really shocks him. So I think it's a really good statement win for ASU, and I think Emory Jones will be a guy that won't be perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but he'll definitely be exactly what we need, at least in times right now for Arizona State, which is a really good quality, efficient quarterback, has dual threat, and that has played higher competition so that the lights will never get too bright for him the more we get into the season or the longer we go into the season. So.
Yeah, and Sam, you were in the student section, right, for that game?
Yeah, yes, I was. Yeah.
What was the reaction like for 9 for 2? As they did have a huge turnout for that game, and filling up that stadium, especially when it's not really a competitive matchup, but it should be a blowout. And on top of that, you got to deal with the heat. That's a major, major accomplishment for the student section.
I agree. Yeah, the student section, they showed up. The students showed up, and that's always great to see. There was like overflow, and there was like all this gold around Sun Devil Stadium. It was great. Well, this is probably something that should be saved for a later time. But I just want to say that I wish the entire stadium would be full during these games. I wish some more of maybe like the older fans, like alumni. I wish maybe there would be a bit more of a turnout there, to just more of just like the regular adults would show up, because there was a lot of scattered seats. But possibly for bigger games, bigger opponents, that's when you'll see more fans. But the student turnout was fantastic, and I thought that the defense for ASU played really well. And again, it is NAU, so it's not that big of a test, but the defense played well. Unfortunately, some pick sixes got called back for ASU, but so maybe they'll have to work on that. Not doing penalties that'll negate interception touchdowns. But it was a pretty efficient performance for the Sun Devils, and I think we'll maybe perhaps start to learn more about this team in the coming weeks.
Yeah, especially this Saturday, their week 2 matchup at Oklahoma State, taking on the Cowboys. That is going to be the game that defines this team going forward. We will really know if ASU is going to be at least a decent team this year. We'll see. But you mentioned Sun Devil Stadium was scattered. I mean, it was like this for the past couple of years in the home opener. Just be glad it was not UCLA. UCLA was absolutely roasted this past Saturday in their home opener against Bowling Green. UCLA ended up winning 45-17. But for a team that's currently in transition mode to the Big Ten Conference, the Big Ten Conference is overwhelmingly known for having huge fan bases, not just at their home stadiums, but also their travel schools and all that. And then there's UCLA that barely fills up their stadium. Now, of course, I will say most LA fan bases, and Arizona's like this too, we only show up when we win. And yeah, and the Bruins are definitely like that when it comes to their fan base. If you're not winning, people won't show up and all that. But when seeing all the photos and that, I don't think there was even 2,000 fans at that stadium. This is the Rose Bowl here. We're talking about one of the most historic stadiums in college football, and they can't fill it up for the home opener. That's just insane to me. And then, of course, you got the other Pac-12 matchups. I mean, ASU had a good game, but overall, week 1 for the Pac-12 was if I had to give a letter grade on it, it would probably at least be a D, because Oregon got destroyed by Georgia, which I guess in some ways it could have been a competitive matchup because Georgia is number 2. So a lot of people were suspecting they're going to win, but there was just nothing from Oregon there. And then, of course, Utah got upset by Florida, who at the time was unranked, and now Florida is now number 12 thanks to that win. And the Gators won 29-26. Although, like I said, when we talked about this last week, where is it really an upset, an SEC team over a Pac-12 team? Not so much, and especially when they got the home field advantage. And so, yeah, not a great week for week 1 of the Pac-12, especially with USC and UCLA leaving. It is just not a great time for the conference, but who knows? I mean, it is just 1 week. One game in 1 week does not define a whole season. So that's very important to recognize. But moving on, we got a lot of other stuff to go to. I wish we can talk about college football a lot, but a lot more stuff to go into. NFL season officially kicks off tonight, and it will feature the Buffalo Bills taking on the defending Super Bowl champion LA Rams. The Rams, of course, will be dropping their Super Bowl banner at SoFi Stadium. I don't know where they can drop it, considering that stadium has so much technology and all that, all the fancy new stuff. So it's going to be interesting where they place that. But this is actually going to be a very competitive matchup, considering the last time we saw Josh Allen in the Bills was that divisional round game against the Kansas City Chiefs when he had that huge quarterback duel with Patrick Mahomes. And we never really got to see him finish off, or at least have his time in the overtime period. And that's what led to the NFL changing their overtime rules. But what are you guys excited for mostly tonight, seeing Allen and Stafford go at it tonight?
Well, outside of Josh Allen being on my fantasy team this year, I am really, really, really excited to see this matchup today. One thing I am a little worried about, especially for Buffalo, is how is their young secondary going to fare up against Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson in this high-powered attack, McVay, Stafford offense, because Tre'Davious White's still coming back from ACL injury from mid-season last year, and they're going to be and they're going between 2 rookie corners right now to face off against on the opposite side of Drake Jackson. So it's a little tough to say whether I think the Bills will. I definitely believe the Bills have a chance because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Josh Allen, and you got Stephon Diggs, and Sean McDermott's a terrific coach. And their defense and front seven is still one of the best in the league. But based off of that, what we don't know in the secondary at the corner spots, I think McVay and the Rams are probably going to have their way with them a little bit today or this game. And I do believe the Rams front seven is no joke as well, now that they have Bobby Wagner as well. So I think they're going to get a lot of pressure on Josh Allen. And another thing, too, is we got to see how new offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey is going to do, former University of Miami quarterback. Let's see how he does now that Brian Daboll is away, and so we shall see how that fares up. But I think with the Rams, there's not really a lot of changes with their team. I think they should win today. It'll still be a very close game, but we shall see what happens. I'm excited. So.
Yeah, I'm super excited too. It's great to have football back. Great to have NFL regular season football back. Everyone here at Cronkite and sports journalism, so pumped. So yeah, I'm excited. I do agree with you, Franklin. I'm going to go with the Rams in this one. I got some cool little factoids for you guys. Since 2004, when the defending Super Bowl champs have hosted the kickoff game, the defending champs have only lost twice. So the defending champs in these openers, they usually win. And McVay has not lost a season opener since becoming the Rams coach. So, I think there's a lot of things going in the Rams' favor here. As a Bears fan, I'm excited to see what Allen Robinson does. He had a down year last year. I think he's definitely going to bounce back this season with LA. So I'm excited to see, how Stafford connects with him. We know Stafford has a great connection with Cooper Kupp. I'm excited to see his connection with Allen Robinson. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, you mentioned, the regular season being back, and looking back at this preseason now that it's officially over, I think this was probably the most wasteful preseason in NFL history. None of the teams were competing. Everyone was playing it safe, which if you do that, and especially if you're going into a matchup where both teams are looking at that strategy where they're not actually using any of their competitive weapons, why have the preseason at that point? Just have an extra training camp time. So
Hey,
it is.
man, you're talking to Kyle Shanahan's heart right now because Kyle Shanahan has never been a fan of preseason games to begin with.
Yeah, but, well, I don't really agree with Shanahan what he says entirely on that, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying this past preseason, everybody literally just did not take advantage of it, and that's so disappointing. And I think the NFL needs to make changes on having the season start even sooner, even though they literally just made a rule of shortening the preseason, adding another week. I think they should probably now just downsize it to 1 or 2 weeks of preseason football because it was not utilized in the way it was supposed to for years.
I think it should be 2 weeks, but that's a conversation for another day. But I think it should be 2 weeks. Just one for not to start starters and then a dress rehearsal game. And that's all you need, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it is
and a joint practice here and there.
Yeah,
if you want.
Yeah. I like that.
Just an absolute sleeper year for sure.
So, yeah.
All right, now let's move on back to college football news. This is kind of old news. We're kind of late to the party on this because this literally dropped like near a week now. But this past Friday, the college football playoff unanimously voted to expand the playoff to 12 teams, which will be ineffective in 2026. But it could happen a lot sooner depending on logistical obstacles as soon as 2024, which would be 2 years from now. And the current playoff system, they only have 4 teams, and it is rotated between 6 bowl games, which is why we call it the New Year Six. But there is going to be a quarterfinal round, semifinal, and then, of course, an opening round. The quarterfinal and semifinal round games will be at bowl games and will be neutral site territory. But the first round, however, is going to be highest seed. I hope I got that correct. Does that sound correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I know a lot of stuff to go over through, but the playoff bracket will consist of 6 highest-ranked conference champions, and the other 6 will be at-large teams. So if I'm Notre Dame, I would want to be hopping in a conference right now because this would not be easy to get into the playoff in this new system. But overall, this has been change we've been waiting for quite a while here. Everyone was kind of fan of the 4-team playoff system the first year because Ohio State, literally, no one could have suspected they were going to win the playoff in the first year in existence. Everyone thought it was going to be Alabama. But now, seeing it's kind of run its toll, it is time to expand so that way it's not Alabama or Georgia just alternating the title every single year. And what are your guys' thoughts of it?
Oh, Caleb, I'm so happy. This was such a long time coming. Yeah. I mean, like you said, I feel like it was just going to be alternating from Alabama to whoever the next best team next to them was, whether it's Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State. It was going to be the same teams every single year. They had to make a change. And this allows, other teams that are having good seasons to actually have a chance to actually make some noise in a playoff kind of atmosphere. I like the fact that it's 12 teams. It kind of makes it similar to the old NFL playoff brackets where it's 6 teams per conference. So it makes all the sense in the world. This gives smaller schools to have a chance to kind of creep in at like the 12 spot or 11 spot to maybe fight for a playoff spot. Now, that's, it's neither here nor there. They probably will lose in the first round, but the amount of revenue that will bring to their board is super, super important. I think it helps a lot of those small schools out to get more people to want to go into their programs. So overall, I just think this was a long time coming. I think it took a lot longer than it should have. And I believe that this was the right move. I hate that it's not until 2026. Hopefully it's sooner. Hopefully we get to 2024. But I think this was the right thing college football did. So.
Yeah, Franklin, you hit the nail on the head with this one, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not sure what more else I can add. I mean, all I can really say is holly freaking Luya that we're getting this. And I'm just gonna be honest. I was sick and tired of seeing Alabama, Georgia, OU, Ohio State, all just these same schools in the playoff. It was getting annoying, and that's why it was nice last year when we got Cincinnati. And did Bama, did they take care of business against Cincinnati? Yeah, they sure did. And that's like 99% of the time, that's what's going to happen. But I would rather there be a chance for an upset and a chance for one of these, smaller schools to take down a Goliath, like what Boise State used to do in the early 2010s. I would rather there be a chance for that than there just to be no chance. So I'm looking forward to this. And hey, if it still ends up being like a Bama or Georgia winning the title, well then whatever, fine. But at least there's more competition, there's more games, and I'm excited for this.
Yeah, just add on to that, Sam, real quick, Caleb, it gets more competition. And I like that. I like that it gives other schools an opportunity to kind of, and not everybody's going to be playing against Alabama and Georgia. Sometimes you'll get Notre Dame. There might be a small school that could upset Notre Dame. You never know. That gives them another chance to get into the second round to maybe get an upset again. So it's like the competition aspect of this is super, super key, and it'll help college football go to places it's probably never been before. So we shall see.
Yeah, it is going to be different, especially, it is going to encourage more competition because Alabama and ASU Pac-12 schools do this too. This happens with all the Power 5 schools, but most of the non-conference opponents during the regular season are usually teams in like the Big Sky and all that, like punching bag teams, as I would call them. And so you'll never see Alabama go out west during the regular season. They're going to literally try to prime up their roster for those two games. However, which is easy. I think that's why Nick Saban is so good at what he does, because that's what he's putting all the mental preparation in. And he doesn't really have to do much during at least most of the regular season. I'm not saying all the games are easy for them. I mean, the Iron Bowl is obviously a big one. There's a lot of SEC competition he still has to get around. But overall, it's just becoming too easy for Alabama, Georgia, and all these SEC teams, because if it kept going this way, it wouldn't even shock me if within next year, 2024, if it does not happen sooner, that at least 3 or 4 teams in the playoff bracket are going to be from the SEC. So
I'd also argue, from your standpoint, it is a lot easier. How much, I would ask a follow-up question, how much is that more so that the SEC conferences are just doing a much better job than conferences like the Pac-12 per se, in terms of like just being just better ran, so to speak?
Well, I mean, I think they kind of, I hate to be harsh about this at the Pac-12, but I won't name drop who it was, the previous commissioner of the Pac-12. They kind of took advantage of that conference stupidity under that commissioner's leadership. Yeah. And so it was, I think they took really good advantage of that. TV deals, I think, say hello to my cat. She is wanting to know what all this college football news is about. But no, it is the TV deals. The SEC got a huge major deal with Disney and ESPN, and that kind of influenced conferences like the Big Ten to get the same kind of money and over that. Because who's ringtone that?
No, it's mine.
We got a bunch of
sure. It never comes. That's never come up on my computer before. Never.
I'll play around too, so that you guys aren't having technical difficulties.
Literally never. That's crazy. It was my mom calling me. I'm like, sorry.
Oh no, it's all right. But no, I would say
maybe she wanted to come on the show. I don't know. Maybe she knew I was doing this.
Maybe you never know. She's always welcome on. So always good to have more insight. But no, I think, the TV deals, because they donate, a lot of schools make a lot of money off of those TV deals, and the SEC was just first to nail all of those aspects. Yeah. And so it was kind of a joke. If you think about it, the previous, I'll just name drop them. This is too hard. If Larry Scott was still the commissioner of the Pac-12, he was threatening, if the Pac-12 TV rights expire, nobody wanted to negotiate with the conference. This is very true. Somebody wrote this down. Not even the Discovery Channel wanted them. which doesn't even broadcast sports. I think they broadcast like BattleBots. It's the closest thing to it. But they didn't even want the Pac-12, and they were actually considering putting the games strictly on the Pac-12 network, even the big games, which would not have been a smart idea, but they were actually considering it. So yeah, I can't really think of anybody I know. Hi Mars. I can't really think of anybody saying Larry Scott was a good commissioner and he did anything great. It only just destroyed the conference even more, and it still has damaging effect to the conference now because UCLA and USC are leaving. So it's kind of like too late for him to go. But yeah, it is. I think the SEC kind of took advantage of the other conferences being foolish, like the Pac-12. So we'll and that's why we're kind of seeing this realignment. And don't forget about the Big 12 too, because they were always just relying on Texas or Oklahoma, just trying to carry that conference off their back.
They're relying on those. They're relying on the programs of those high schools to like kind of carry their conferences.
That's just not how it should work, So I mean, that's like the Pac-12 just relying on Oregon the whole time. You can't do that. So, and yeah, now we're kind of seeing the consequences of that completely play out, and now it's against the point where geographical locations don't even matter. Like it wouldn't even surprise me.
Yeah.
If the Pac-12 ends up going away or merges the Big 12, like I've heard rumors of Oregon possibly join the SEC because they're kind of on the same competitive level as those teams. So
yeah, not after this weekend.
No. But I'm saying they could get there over time. Like Utah, when they first joined, they sucked the first few years. Now look at them; they are thriving and they are a football town. Not just Utah. BYU, that whole state. So yeah, it would take some time to adapt and all that. But I think Oregon now, the way they got blown out is kind of a result of them kind of suffering from how the conferences ran. They're not getting a lot of money from these TV deals that they currently have. And so they really need to cash in on that when the new contract comes about. So we'll see. But hopefully that answers your question, Franklin. So,
it did. It did more than it answered my question.
Yeah, I hope so. So, but moving on, we're gonna have a little bit of fun here. So, a classic segment we used to do, and now we're bringing it back, is none other than the box straw. So, let me explain the rules here. Franklin and Sam, you guys are going to answer a question, which I will not reveal yet. It's gonna be a mystery question. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. You're going to answer it. However, you're going to pick two answers, answer A, answer B. You will not know about it until you pick it. And whatever your answer is, you have to defend it, no matter how absurd, stupid, or just how much it doesn't make sense. You have to defend it in this argument. So you guys understand?
Yes.
Okay. So this year in the NFL, there's a lot of changes happening on the broadcast side. Well, come on, Mars. A lot of changes happening on the broadcast teams. Pretty much everybody except CBS Sports with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are going to have a new announcing team. Fox is going to have Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson calling their games as the lead broadcasters. In fact, they're going to be calling the Super Bowl since Fox has the Super Bowl 57 in Arizona this year. NBC is going to have Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, which Tirico is going to make his head play-by-play debut tonight. And then, of course, the other noticeable one is Prime Video, the new home for Thursday Night Football. They are the newest broadcaster in the NFL, is going to have Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. That right there, I think, is going to be the number one broadcast team. And it's sad because they will not even get to broadcast any playoff games, which is going to be exciting. But moving on to the question, with the NFL having new broadcast teams this season, who would be your dream NFL TV announcing team? Now, I flipped a coin earlier before the show, and Sam, you get to go first. There are two anonymous answers. I'll repeat the question. With the NFL having new broadcast teams this season, who would be your dream NFL announcing team? So what's it going to be? Answer A or answer B?
I'll go answer A.
Answer A? Okay.
Yeah.
Sam, all right, I'm going to send you it through the chat privately. And Franklin, we'll get to you after he answers. All right, you ready for this?
Ready.
All right. Who's your dream announcing team, Sam? And why?
My dream announcing team is Skip Bayless and T.O. Terrell Owens. So you know what? Okay, I'll say this. These two put in a broadcast booth. Like, can you think of a pair that is more entertaining? Because listen, these two guys they're very divisive, very controversial figures in sports, but they're entertaining. I mean, if you look on YouTube, if you look at the videos that have Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, those videos get tons of clicks, tons of views. People want to hear Skip Bayless, go completely outrageous over his love for the Cowboys and for Tom Brady and whatnot. And then you got Terrell Owens, who had an incredible playing career, playing for teams like the Cowboys, like the Eagles, the 49ers, Franklin, of course, 49ers legend Terrell Owens. But again, Owens had a lot of, off the field issues, that it's probably best we don't really get into too much detail about. But you get these two guys in a booth and honestly, it's entertaining. And Owens, again, say what you want about T.O., but he is one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. And I think that's just a fact. So I mean, he can have actually really good analysis. And in Bayless, he's also he's been doing his job for a long time. He got started out in Dallas, where I'm from. So and he's been at his job for many, many years. So I mean, it could be entertaining. They might actually maybe in the booth say, hey, maybe let's set aside some of just the craziness and maybe let's just call a good game perhaps, but still keep it entertaining. So I mean, I think that definitely this pair could work, and it would be a dream because it's entertaining, it's fun, possibly could get some more people to tune in. So
hey man, all I gotta say, Sam, is I love me some me, as T.O. would say.
Yes.
I would love, I actually wouldn't mind hearing that on a call.
It would be nice if you heard I love me some me to Skip, like him say that to Skip on the call.
That would be amazing for sure. So, Sam, awesome job. We'll get to rebuttals in a second. But Franklin, who is your dream NFL announcing team?
Okay, man. That's easy money. Stephen A. Smith on Marshawn Lynch, and I'll tell you why. Marshawn Lynch and Stephen A. Smith talk about some of the most opposite types of talking. Marshawn Lynch doesn't like to say much, and Stephen A. Smith just likes to talk till he loses all his hairline. So, how I picture this: Stephen A. Smith is gonna say this. Picture me here. We're watching the Cowboys versus Steelers on a Monday night, and you have Stephen A. and Marshawn Lynch calling the game. You'll have Stephen A. Smith saying about how much the Cowboys aren't going to win. You'll have Marshawn Lynch pretty much saying, I'm just here so I won't get fined the whole night. I think that would be one of the most entertaining, most talked about scenarios of all time. Not to mention Marshawn Lynch probably might get a little bit in trouble for cussing a little bit, but you'll get truth. We need truth nowadays in sports. And I feel like with Marshawn Lynch, not only will you get film study from him, but you'll get him cussing every now and then when a bad play is made. He'll be the best color analyst you'll ever have. And Stephen A. Smith, he can talk till the wheels fall off, man. He'll be mad funny. Except for it'll be funny that if he's ever calling the Cowboys game, and they score a touchdown, he probably wouldn't even announce the touchdown. He'll be so pissed. But probably that wouldn't make for good television and great viewerships, man. Whichever network gets them, you're going up in revenue with money. So I think it's a no-brainer to have Marshawn Lynch and Stephen A. Smith as a dream pair, and I feel like it only adds on to companies like ESPN, and it adds on to First Take, and it even grows their viewerships a little more because everybody wants to tune in to see what Stephen A. Smith's call was, and so And a follow-up question too, is this for any sport, or is it just for like
This is for the NFL.
NFL? Well, yeah, man, Stephen A. Smith would be a character. Imagine the Super Bowl too. Oh my goodness. Him with all those stars. Stephen A. Smith will be so so funny in those segments to where not only will he be giving great commentary throughout the game, but then he'll pause for a second because you'll see a celebrity and being like, "Oh my God, man, I didn't know he was there." So it's like, so you'll just get a bunch of great sound bites throughout the stadium. You have to have him. You have to just make a mic'd up version for Stephen A. Smith alone in the Super Bowl if you would call that. So, I mean, overall, I don't think it's better than Stephen A. Smith and Marshawn Lynch. You get two opposite people that attract each other really well. So.
Yeah. Okay. You had me for a few minutes, saying, because I do agree, Stephen A. Smith is very charismatic. And it actually, oh my gosh, I would actually love to hear him call a Thanksgiving Cowboys game.
Oh,
for sure. That would
oh my gosh.
But
that'd be the best Thanksgiving of all time.
Absolutely. Yes, it would be damn good television. But you mentioned Marshawn Lynch likes to swear a lot. And if that happens, the FCC is probably going to take ESPN off the air if this happens on a weekly basis.
Oh, no, hear me out. Instead of him saying really a cuss word, instead of him saying the actual word, he just says chicken. Or just any food scenario. It's a cuss word. We put that in his contract. It'll be the best thing we've ever seen, Caleb. I'm telling you right now, kids will love him.
The last thing Marshawn Lynch is going to do is listen to the media. You think he's going to comply with that?
Yeah. No. Especially if it's for like, say he has to say instead of a cuss word, he says Skittles. He loves Skittles.
Yes. Marshawn loves his Skittles.
He loves his Skittles. So I mean, I'm just saying, man, it'd be great TV. He'd be saying all these crazy like lines, or all these actually lines that are kind of similar to Stuart Scott.
Okay, right.
That would be really good for television.
You just say that because I'm a huge Stuart Scott fan. I do respect him. So
I had to get your points.
You're trying to curry favor here. You know what? Here's all I'll do. I'll give you guys 10-second rebuttals why your dream announcing team is better than the other. So, Sam, 10 seconds. If you can tell me why Skip Bayless and Terrell Owens is better than Smith and Lynch, tell me why in 10 seconds, like your elevator pitch.
Okay, Franklin. So you say that Stephen A. Smith is the crazy one and all this, and then you got Marshawn a bit more reserved. Well, with mine, you get craziness on both ends, which means it's double the entertainment. So there you go. I'm just gonna leave it right there.
All right,
okay. Double the hype.
Franklin,
I'll say it once and say it again. You get opposites attract, man. I'm telling you right now. You have Marshawn Lynch that's quiet, and all of a sudden he'll say something really outrageous. That will be a must. Like that'll be something that you'll sell on a T-shirt. You have Stephen A. Smith just rambling on and on and on about how much he hates the Cowboys, or how much he loves such player, or how much that this team is not going to beat this team throughout the game. It'll be much TV. You have one person being super high, and another person being so chill, laid back, being like, yeah. Tell me that's not funny. That's like a movie of Friday all over again.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good, but come on. Skip Bayless and T.O. though.
I mean,
come on.
I gotta say, I'm probably, you know what? I'm going to officially give this one to Sam. So it is our first box straw on the podcast, and we started out Sam is 1-0 and Franklin's 0-1, but only because it would be entertaining to the final play of the game. It is going to be like a straight up argument, high volume, every single play in the game. I mean,
yeah, but Skip will be salty because there's like certain players he doesn't like. So if they score a game-winning touchdown, he'll be like, "Where's the flag?" Or, "Oh, that wasn't a touchdown," or "That was a hold." Like, come on.
Yeah, but at least like he'll actually provide more informative context on why he thinks there should be a flag and all that. If Stephen A. Smith was wondering where the flag was, he would be like jaw drop, like, "Are you kidding me?" Like,
tell me that's not great. Tell me that's not.
I want at least some common sense here. Explain your reasoning why you think there should be a flag,
bro. So, he would be yelling to the top of his lungs, and then you have Marshawn Lynch just being like, "My bro."
Yeah, man, but I don't want to be grabbing my head. Like, what is like it's talking about?
Have Have some Skittles. It'll make you feel better. Relax.
Yeah, but
Like,
I want to be one of those points like when I'm watching the game, be like, okay, like get to the point. Why are you angry? Like Smith will drag that out to death. So, I don't. At least in my opinion, I wouldn't want that as a viewer. So, all right. Well, that is it for the box straw. Sam takes.
Like I'm saying right now, that's blasphemous, Caleb. But continue.
Sam will take round 1 of the box straw. We'll see if Franklin can come back next week. But moving on to our next segment, it is time for, the sports culture questions of the week, where sports and pop culture collide. And so all 3 questions are all football related, NFL and college. We will start with the question number 1. Which player has the best Sunday Night Football broadcast introduction? And what I mean by Sunday Night Football, the NBC broadcast, literally on the first plays of the game, NBC will be like, okay, here's the starting offense for the Rams. And you'll see like the players say their names and their colleges. However, in the past, this has pretty much been going on since Sunday Night Football debuted. There have been some players who literally do not take it seriously. And like Odell Beckham Jr., on the man, like literally. So with that being said, Sam, we'll start off with you first. Who's your favorite Sunday Night Football introduction player?
Yeah. Okay. So I went with a player who is pretty controversial. We're not going to get into his off the field stuff, but my pick is former Carolina Panther Greg Hardy for his Sunday Night Football intro of Kraken Hogwarts. Just gold. It's gold. It is gold.
I will say about of all the players that like kind of stutter and all that when they try to say it, he actually said that with a straight angry face. Be like, dude, you do not want to mess with me. So like that was hilarious. I mean, that dude is probably a Slytherin for sure.
Oh yeah.
Very funny. All right. Franklin, best Sunday Night Football broadcast introduction.
Yes, I absolutely love this question. Who I picked for mine was a former ASU player and a legend for the Baltimore Ravens, and that's Terrell Suggs from Ball So Hard University. That's the way he says it. And he doesn't say Terrell Suggs, he says Sizzle. I love it.
He doesn't even say his own
Ball So
name.
Hard University. And he does an emphasis with the ball. He's like, Ball So Hard University. And it just gets me hyped. And I think it's just one of the best ones I've ever heard. I always cry laughing when I hear it. It's so funny.
He is a former Sun Devil. I mean, you know what? For once, because there's a lot of great Sun Devil football players who play in the NFL, because for once, I actually want to hear that quote from Jerry Maguire. Like, I'm a Sun Devil, man. Like, literally, that would be amazing to hear in a player introduction if somebody said that with their name. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that would be very good for, like, not only ASU when they're bored, but, like, just in general, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would probably get replayed at Sun Devil Stadium, like, every single week if a player did that on the NBC broadcast.
Honestly, I think the first one I ever heard, which was not taken seriously but was serious, I guess, was the Russell Wilson one when he said from a whole pack of Badgers or something like that. I don't know. That's not like really a funny one. But like that was like the first one I ever realized, you can say anything on here.
I guess that's technically true as you did come from there. But yeah, I think that was kind of be like, oh, wait.
Well, because he was first from NC State. So it's like, but he ended his career there. But yeah.
Yeah, but it does make some sense to it. But then, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what kind of broke the threshold to be like, oh, wait, there's no rules. So,
yeah. But the Greg Hardy Kraken, yes. I was hilarious. And he had the face paint and looked so mean.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say my answer. I'm surprised this one didn't even come up as an honorable mention. But Antoine Randall, I mean, that Indiana University. But it's just, he obviously said it normally, but it was more of the tone he was saying it. He's like, I am Antoine Randall, Indiana University. Like, literally, it's like he's trying to audition to be a late night host. It is funny as heck. Like, totally playing the camera. So, And yeah, very, very funny to do. And I probably just did the worst impression of him, but we will play the clip as we're going on. But moving on to question 2, and this is more college football related. On College Game Day, the #1 college football pregame show on ESPN, there's been a lot of famous signs that go up in the air. Literally, some signs make literally no sense. There's actually a sign. A fan literally drew a sign that literally just said sign. But so a lot of funny stuff with that. But in your guys' opinion, out of all the thousands of College Game Day poster signs we've seen at numerous universities, which one is your favorite? And Sam, we'll start with you again.
Right. So I went with one that comes from a couple years ago, but I really, really like this one because it's about a certain baseball team that I really don't like. We all know the controversy about the Houston Astros and the sign stealing that went on. And of course, they won the World Series against the Dodgers a couple years back. Well, on College Game Day, someone wrote a sign that said, "The Astros stole my other sign." And I really like it. I thought it was very clever. And I mean, I just hate the Astros. So any Astro slander is fine by me. So
I don't know what you're talking about. They won fair and square.
Oh, there we go.
I don't know about that.
I'm not gonna get into that. That's a good answer. And that's another thing too. I mean, there's a lot of signs in College Game Day that had nothing to do with football related, and that is one of them. That's more baseball stuff because there's not really any other pregame show. I knew somebody who worked at the Suns, and their pregame show is outside, and people at one point got to hold signs. They don't do that anymore. They literally take away signs if you try to hold it up in front of the camera, because there are some people who did some I won't say it here, but were R-rated signs, I guess you can say, on television that wasn't really allowed. Yeah. So that's why it kind of got banned. But I'm glad College Game Day continues that tradition, no matter how outrageous or absurd it is. Franklin, what is your favorite poster sign in College Game Day?
Yeah, there's a lot over the years that I was kind of looking back on that I remember looking at on TV and kind of laughing. One that kind of caught my attention, it was during the time when Trevor Lawrence was the quarterback at Clemson, and it was the one where the sign read, "Trevor Lawrence has the same hair conditioner and shampoo as Rapunzel." And I was crying. I was like, and I mean, hey man, because we all know Trevor Lawrence looks like Sunshine from Remember the Titans. So like, it was kind of creative for them to say something along the lines of Rapunzel and Trevor Lawrence having the same kind of conditioner for their hair. And I don't know what Trevor Lawrence be putting in his hair, but it is spectacular. I really think in the future, Trevor Lawrence and Troy Polamalu need to do a Head and Shoulders commercial together. That's where I'm at right now. But
yes.
It's funny. I see a lot of signs of Trevor Lawrence. Like, I've even seen signs of people comparing Trevor Lawrence to Jesus. Like, that dude has the hair for sure. And yeah, that's amazing. I actually made a custom sign myself that I wish was a College Game Day sign, but it is, you can't spell LSU without the L. What do you guys think?
That's clever. I like it.
My gosh, for once I want to see a sign like that. But like I said, I guess I'm just getting a little too excited because LSU. But no, I mean, those are all great. So amazing stuff. Let's get into the third and final question here. The sports culture questions of the week. We're done with the box draw. But once again, with NFL season starting, we've seen a lot of great commercials air involving players pitching products and all that. So this was kind of a tough question to answer here. Although I said this was not really on the table because he's done so many, but Peyton Manning has done numerous commercials for DirecTV, Nationwide Insurance. It is no joke. But in your guys' opinion, without Peyton Manning, who is the best NFL product pitchman? And Franklin, you first.
Yes, so it's kind of funny because I was really just talking about how Charlotte Lawrence should have been in a commercial with.
I was literally going to say that too. Yeah.
With that for Head and Shoulders, because that's exactly what I picked for NFL product pitchman. I think is one of the most famous ones is the Troy Polamalu Head and Shoulders commercials when he literally is at the locker and his hair just keeps poofing more and more and more until he finally gives up and says, "Yeah." I think that was one of the most classic commercials that kind of not started but kind of popularized the whole kind of
It's 3:00.
Fishman stuff. Sorry, that's my laptop. But yeah, I think Troy Polamalu's Head and Shoulders one is by far my favorite, at least that I've seen.
I just realized I'm muted, but no, I love the idea, especially he does kind of make some kind of good point. There's another commercial he did for Head and Shoulders, like, gosh, like, how do I like play football, all this hair in my helmet and all that?
Yeah.
He took off his hair and put it on somebody else, and it like basically like his hair is like superpowers to make him look attractive. It was actually kind of funny. Sam, who's the best NFL product pitchman?
I was really thinking hard about this. It took me a while to come up with an answer, but I'm actually going to go with another Steelers legend. I'm going to go with a classic here. Mean Joe Green's Coke commercial. I'm going with that, man. For me, whenever I think of an NFL pitchman commercial, that's the first one that comes to my mind. So it's a classic. You can't go wrong with it. Mean Joe Green's a freaking legend. So, that's my pick.
That was a good one.
Because if there's the most reliable tool to winning a game, it is a Coke bottle.
So, it's true.
I guess so. Not Sour Patch Kids, which I see a lot of basketball players eat. But no, it's a Coke bottle. So, no, those are all great answers, and that's very classic. I actually wonder where the kid is now, the guy that gave him the Coke. Because that kid's got to be grown up by now. He must be a grown adult. So
he's like in his 40s now.
Somebody has to figure out where that guy is now. So that would actually be hilarious. But
they should do like a reincarnation of the. Oh, they should do that for the 100th anniversary Super Bowl. They should just redid it with him.
Yes. Oh, that would have been
so
good.
Yeah. I mean, well, you never know. Maybe this year's Super Bowl.
They should have done a mashup with all of the like classic Super Bowl commercials from back then, and just kind of have them where where all the kids are now. Kind of just redid the commercials.
I'll get into a few honorable mentions here. The last time the Super Bowl, two Super Bowls ago, the one where the Giants won against the Patriots, that one. And this wasn't really an NFL player. Well, actually it was. Joe Beck and Troy Aikman with the Pepsi Max commercial, the whole What Is Love commercial, like they were actually sleep drunk or something like that. That was kind of funny. Tom Brady is hilarious as always. His best commercial was that Hulu one, basically trolling all his haters that he was going to retire. I literally saw social media blow up. Like, we literally were like going mind blown that he was going to retire, all this for a Hulu commercial. So that was amazing. And then the T-Mobile one with Gronk was also, I guess, just as good. But no, those are just honorable mentions. I will say my favorite one, and this is an automatic number one in my opinion, because we will never see a commercial like this. In fact, it wouldn't even be allowed on the airways, probably not. But Terry freaking Tate, the lineman for Reebok, it is absolutely hilarious. Like, literally, that dude does such a good job of selling Reebok shoes, that product, that if he was around my office, just being around him would make me terrified. Like, it's hilarious. So, oh my gosh! And have you guys seen the commercial?
I have, not in a while though.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too.
If there's any commercial they should basically remaster or remake, that's the one. You got to do that one. So
yeah.
But as I said, I mean, the Mean Joe Green, I guess, would have more fitting because the kid's all grown up now. So, but no, a lot of great stuff. But more back to sports related here, so we're running out of time. But a lot of big matchups this weekend. Week 2 of college football. The NFL season officially gets underway this Sunday. But it's time for Who You Got, the upset picks of the week. And I will start off first. The big upset I'm predicting for this week, and I don't know if this technically should be an upset, but it is going to be the Carolina Panthers beating the Cleveland Browns. And Baker Mayfield, the former quarterback for Cleveland once upon a time, is going to get his revenge against his former team in his first game under the new colors. And so I think this is going to be the message that Mayfield wants to send. So and I feel like Franklin's disagreeing here, but
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying, is it an upset? I feel like Carolina should be favored to win.
if they blow them out, I think it technically would be considered.
Okay.
If they blow them out, which I do think that's going to happen. I think he's
No,
gonna blow them
no,
out. I don't think Cleveland's going to score a touchdown. So and that could be an ice cold take, warning you. But I mean, I think this is going to be a blowout for sure. So, and that would make it an upset in my opinion. So, Franklin, who would be your upset pick of the week?
Yes. It's a little tough one. Actually, I'm gonna go with the big one. I'm gonna go with a huge one.
I thought it was going to be okay.
I think the Detroit Lions are going to upset the Philadelphia Eagles at home. I'm explaining right now. I'm a big believer in this Lions team this year. They're up and coming. I know it's been years since they've been great. I'm telling you right now, they're on the come up. I'm not really a huge believer in Jared Goff. I'm a big believer in the team they have around him. I think they have one of the best 1-2 punch running backs with Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. I think they have an up-and-coming great wide receiver in Amon-Ra St. Brown, along with Jameson Williams, who's injured a little bit, but he's going to be something. I think they have a top 10 tight end in TJ Hawkinson. They have a very, very, very underrated offensive line. They have 2 quality tackles in Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell. They have a great center in Frank Ragnow. They finally have an edge rusher in Aiden Hutchinson, and they got quality depth. I really, truly believe the Lions are going to make a big push up and coming this year, and I think it starts this weekend with an upset against Philadelphia. And it's going to be a close one. I'm predicting like a 23-20 kind of final score, but the Lions are going to start the season right with a win. Come back next week, man. And this might be an ice cold take. Come back next week. I'm telling you right now. I'm calling it right now. That's going to be the upset of the week. Lions over Eagles.
I am so glad I just decided to play it safe and just pick an easy one. So
that's not an upset, though.
I just want. Hey, it's week 1. Okay, I need to start off safe on this week. Okay, and I do think if Carolina beats them, it is an upset. All right, so I'm just playing it safe. Okay, but you are making predictions that Detroit's gonna win. I'm a
big believer in Detroit. I think the Eagles are the better team. Don't get me wrong. I just think the Lions are going to upset them this week.
Well, I think linebacker Malcolm Rodriguez is also going to be playing for the defense in the Lions. I think they just announced he's going to be playing. So there is a possibility. I don't see it happening. So, and if you are wrong, probably going to tweet Old Takes Exposed just for that. But
okay.
We'll see.
Get the tweets ready Sunday. I'm calling it right now.
You're fine with that?
Yeah. I'm calling it right now. I really believe the Lions are going to win this weekend.
No. The chances of the Lions winning is like the chances of Jimmy G winning MVP of the year. So not going to happen. So it's never going to happen. I'm sorry. And I do feel bad for Jerry Goff literally being traded to Detroit, and then all of a sudden the Rams finally win a Super Bowl. I mean, that dude is enormously talented, and he just needs to be on a better squad. So, but who knows? I might be wrong. I mean, I actually wouldn't mind being wrong on that if Detroit wins. But Sam, who's going to be the big upset we're going to be talking about this weekend?
Well, you know
where he's going. You better be careful, Sam.
Call me biased. Call me very biased. But my upset pick of the week is that the Chicago Bears are going to start off the season 1-0 at Soldier Field by defeating, Franklin, your San Francisco 49ers. Man, I got a good feeling about this one, man, because last season when we played San Francisco, it was a close game. And again, this is a 49ers team that went to the NFC Championship, and if they hang on against the Rams, they're playing in the Super Bowl. So, and I mean, you know what I'm not going to forget? is that Justin Fields had his best play of his rookie season against the 49ers with that miraculous scramble away from defenders, able to run it in for a touchdown. This game's at Soldier Field. The Bears fans are going to be loud. They're going to be passionate. I'm feeling a Bears win. I think the Bears are going to shock some people in this one. And I think David Montgomery is going to have a very good game on the ground. I think Montgomery is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. And I'm looking forward to seeing the wide receiver situation because Darnell Mooney, this is him stepping into fully that role of being a number one wide receiver. And I love Mooney. I think he's going to do well. And I think and I know that a lot of people are saying, oh, well, like the wide receiving corps besides Mooney is just awful. It's just terrible. Well, I'm excited to see what Byron Pringle does. I think he has some talent in him. And of course, we got some young guys on defense that I'm looking forward to seeing. I think they're going to do well. And yes, it does suck, obviously losing Mac, now that he's with the Chargers. But I'm telling you, I really got a good feeling about this one. I think the Bears are starting it off right. They're at home in Chicago, so I'm feeling a win here. I really am.
I will say this, Sam. I will say this. I understand the reason why you went with this, and I'll even add to it because the Niners aren't going to have Jimmy Ward, and they're probably not going to have George Kittle this weekend either because he's dealing with a groin injury. So,
but they got McGlinchey though. That's back from injury.
Yeah, they got McGlinchey back. So I mean, they got McGlinchey back, which is cool, and we have a really really young interior line who I'm very confident in, but we're very young still, and we still don't know what to expect from Trey Lance. So if you factor in all that, I understand, but
okay. But let me get this straight, Sam. You think the Bears are going to outplay star players Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa, and Trent Williams, and of course Trey Lance, who's going to be starting in his first ever game for the Niners? You think they're going to outperform them?
Yes. and listen, Lance is like how much has he played, Franklin? He hasn't played a lot.
He played 2.5 games basically.
So that's not a lot, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on Lance here, and I think we're going to be able to possibly use that against him. He might make some errors. Possibly might be throwing some balls.
But how can he make errors? I mean, he has an average quarterback rating of 87.2. The dude has an arm cannon. Like, I don't think he's going to be making errors this Sunday against the Bears. I'm sorry. Like,
Caleb,
I knew I did a good job of brainwashing you, Caleb.
What?
I knew I did a great job of brainwashing you. Good job.
This is funny because I cannot stand the Niners. I'm always realistic here on what could happen, and this is what I think is going to happen. Trey Lance going up against Justin Fields. He has 87.2 quarterback rating. You're not going to get past him. I'm sorry. So I mean,
that's a super small sample size though. It's very small.
I think Darnell Mooney's really good. He reminds me a lot of Terry McLaurin, by the way.
Don't get me wrong. I've seen Trey Lance, and Franklin has showed me this of his practice squad footage, and the way the dude can throw, it is amazing. And you know what? Kyle Shanahan might have just found a golden egg because the way how this guy can throw to his receivers is absolutely incredible. If you looked at the practice footage, in fact, I don't even think that practice footage was supposed to get out. Somebody leaked it. And,
I think John Lynch leaked it on purpose.
You think so? It was staged.
I honestly, that's my theory. I think they did that on purpose. There's no way footage like that just pops out of nowhere. They did that on purpose.
It is amazing, and Lance might be a very underrated quarterback when it comes to that division in the NFC. So we'll see what happens. So, other than that, though, we are about to close out our first episode. Any final thoughts as we close down and get ready for week 2 college football? Week 1 of the NFL kicks off tonight. A lot of football in store this weekend. Any final thoughts going into this weekend?
Just 2 things. 1, I hope my Niners take care of business. Sorry, Sam. And 2, I hope ASU does not have to win. I just hope they can play with Oklahoma State. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. Just play up to the competition, please. That's all I gotta say.
All right, Sam.
Well, I only really got two things to say: forks up and bear down.
I feel like your bias is going to get the best of you at this. So we will see.
Maybe.
Come on, Caleb.
We'll see.
You're supposed to have faith in your Cardinals this weekend against Kansas City.
It's like, I will say the same thing I said going into the Cardinals playoff game last year on the day of that game. And I'm literally quoting Spider-Man, the Spider-Man character. Expect disappointment and you'll never be disappointed. So that's the way.
That's one of the best quotes of all time.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that may sound negative, but as an Arizona sports fan, it is so depressing. And I mean, and Frank, I know your Bay Area teams have underachieved as well, but you guys had a Warriors team that won way too many championships and basically
put some respect on Steph Curry's name, man.
Yeah, but those regular seasons were just a waste of time. You all just stole fans' money for sure. They should just skip to the playoffs that year. Every time it was Golden State and Cleveland.
Hey, Steph admitted in a podcast not too long ago or an interview that those championships were more so for validation purposes. Like they said, they asked him the question of like, if you can take away one ring, would you want to take away the ring you just won or both again that you got with KD? And he said, "Oh, I'd rather keep the one I just won over those two." And I feel him on that because those rings were more so validation, trying to like prove.
But they wouldn't have gotten at least to the finals without getting past at least going 7 games to the Phoenix Suns in the conference finals. But we just had to lose to Luka Doncic and Dallas Mavericks.
Luka Magic, man.
Luka Magic.
I've seen at home. That was ridiculous. They
that Warriors Suns series was going at least 6 or 7. I'm so sad that didn't happen, man.
No.
I wanted that. No offense, Sam. I wanted that so badly. I wanted to see like D Book and Chris Paul versus Steph and Clay so badly. Oh man!
I mean, that's what I thought was going to happen. I mean,
everybody thought that was going to happen.
I was going to happen. That's what I predicted when we won Game 7.
I predicted that super early in the season too. Ask Caleb. I predicted there's going to be a Warriors Suns Western Conference Finals, and lo and behold, freaking, I don't know what happened. It's almost like the freaking Space Jam aliens came into town and just sucked up all the freaking Suns' freaking powers or whatnot or talent. They were unrecognizable that game. I was like, yo, everybody is doing so bad. I couldn't believe it. I think Luka did something. Luka sniffed some in the drinks before the game. He put some in those Gatorades. Yep. I don't know what happened.
I will say that Doncic meme where he's like staring underneath Devin Booker.
Yes,
hilarious.
Dude,
Luka's special, baby.
Dude, every time they show anything about D Book on Instagram or Twitter or whatnot, there's always a comment of Luka looking at him or something about the Mavs. I'm like, they're never gonna live this down. It's so bad.
No, and I don't blame them. The Suns completely disappointed us all. So
yeah.
But that's, I mean, like I said, it is just one game. But that to go out like that, an elimination game like that on your home court. Oh, that is just what the heck happened? Like this was not the Suns team we saw earlier in the series, but we're just going off the past stuff that is literally just already in the past. We'll get into more basketball stuff though next week. So, but that is going to do it for Franklin Miller and Sam Valenti. We'll be back next week. I'm Caleb Bushy signing off for now.